Perry Mason, brought to you by T-I-D-E, Tide, the wash day miracle that gives you the cleanest clothes in town. Perry Mason, the famous character created by Earl Stanley Gardner, dramatized by Irving Vendy. Perry Mason, defender of human rights, champion of all those who seek justice.
The cleanest sheets in town, I wear the cleanest clothes, 'cause Tide beats any soap on earth, as everybody knows. Tide gets clothes cleaner than any soap.
Any soap?
Yes, any soap.
You get the cleanest wash in town with T-I-D-E, Tide.
Now there's a song that's really worth singing. Because of all the women who hang up the family wash, you'll get the cleanest wash in town when you use Tide. You see, Tide is the miracle product that not only gets out ordinary dirt, but removes dingy soap film as well. Never before Tide was it possible to get your family wash so clean. It's a fact. Tide gets clothes cleaner than any soap of any kind. You see the miracle of Tide in the cleaner cottons for your children, cleaner linens for your home. Tide's kind to your hands, too, now milder than ever before. Put Tide in your washer, then rinse out and hang up the cleanest wash in town.
Tide gets clothes cleaner than any soap.
Any soap?
Yes, any soap.
You get the cleanest wash in town with
T-I-D-E, Tide.
T-I-D-E, Tide.
And now, Perry Mason. It's early afternoon, about an hour after the close of our last episode. As on the 6th floor of the court building, in the waiting room of Dr. Kenyon, juvenile board psychologist, we hear... Oh, here they are, Della. Hello, Doctor.
Mr. Mason.
Hello, Mr. Mason.
How's my girl, Dory?
Hello, Dory. Well, don't I get a hug, too?
Oh, yes, Mr.
Oh, bless your heart.
How is she, Doctor?
Frankly, I'm amazed.
Yes?
Mr. Mason, Dr. Kenyon said I could see Mommy again.
Oh?
Later this afternoon. For just a little while.
Della.
Dory. Look, don't I see a blackboard over there? And look, honey, here's some chalk.
Oh, you draw me a picture, Mr.
Certainly will.
Well, Doctor?
Mrs. Grant didn't spend more than 20 minutes with that child. But the change in her, well, you can see for yourself.
Yes, well, Dory loves me.
Yes. You know, I've been following the trial in the newspapers, Mr. Mason, and up to now, I'm afraid I believe Mrs. Grant was guilty. But actions speak louder than words, and I can't see a woman who's earned love like she has being a killer.
She isn't. But I have to prove that in court.
Oh, well, how long will you have to keep Dory on the witness stand, Mr. Mason?
Only a few minutes more, if that isn't too much for her.
She's tired, but it's important.
Very. Of course, we can wait.
No, let her finish today, Mr. Mason. Get it behind her. I'll give you written permission.
Thank you, Dr. Kenyon. Oh, Della.
Coming, Perry. Can't you tell?
Dr. Kenyon says Dory can complete her testimony.
Oh, I was sure she was all right. You can see from the way she's acting
Will
that
you agree that actions speak louder than words, too, huh?
What?
I think that. And I believe that most eminent psychologist Frederick Abt thinks it also.
What, that actions speak louder than words?
Yes. And if I can make him take the action I want, his actions will not only speak. Mr. Frederick Abt will stand up and yell.
What are you talking about?
Come on back in court, Della. I'll show you. there has been some question about the persons this witness has referred to. So, will you stand up, Mrs. Grant? That's right. Now, please stay where you are at the defense table. Now, Mr. Carlo, you stand up.
Don't move, Mr. Carlo.
Why, what is your objection, Mr. Rapp? You were the one who said there was confusion in Dory's testimony.
Well, all right. Stand up, Mr. Carlo.
Now, Dory, do you know those two ladies standing there?
Uh-huh.
Will you tell me their names?
Oh, well, that's Mommy standing beside Miss Grant in the street. Hello, Mommy.
Dory, will you tell us her name so that we'll know that you know?
Oh, Mommy is Mrs. Dorothy May Grant.
And the other lady, the one standing behind Mr. Rapp?
Mr. Carlo.
Good. Now, Dory, we got all mixed up this morning. And since actions speak louder than words...
What, Mr. Mason?
Suppose you finish telling us what happened the day you tried to leave that apartment.
Oh, all right.
Now, Dory, when you mention Mommy or Mr. Carlo, use their names, And so there won't be any doubt at all, point your finger at the lady you mean.
Like this?
Point just like that. Now, let's see. Now, you were all alone that day, weren't you?
Mommy was there.
Well, use her name, Dory, and point.
Oh. Mrs. Grant was there. She, Mr. Carlo, was gone away with him.
Mr. Blanc?
So we went downstairs.
Who, Dory?
Her, Mrs. Grant. We went downstairs and tried to go outside.
And what happened?
A man stopped us.
Did you know him?
No, but he wouldn't let us go outside.
You asked?
Well, Mommy, Mrs. Grant asked. But he wouldn't let us. He said Mr. Blanc would be mad because we tried to leave.
I see. And so?
We went back upstairs. I started to cry. And Mommy, that's Mrs. Grant, she carried me.
Crying because you didn't want to go back?
That's right. Mrs. Grant, she cried too. We didn't want to go back.
Why not, Dory?
We didn't like it there.
Why?
Objection. Defense counsel has had access to this witness during the past hour. Undue influence could have been exerted.
Oh, Mr. Raft, I saw Dory only in the company of Dr. Kenyon. If you like, I'll bring the doctor in here, put her on the stand, and get her statement. Well, Mr. Raft?
Objection withdrawn.
Thank you. All right, now, Dory. Why didn't you like that apartment?
Well, that woman, Mr. Carlo, didn't like me.
I object to this line of questioning unless Dorothy can give a specific instance of abuse or mistreatment.
Well, Dory, did Mr. Carlo ever beat you or hit you or...
Oh, no. Mommy wouldn't let her.
Oh, I see. Well, what about Mrs. Grant? Was she good to you?
Oh, yes. She was always nice. She never got mad. I mean at me. But one time when Mr. Carlo...
Oh, well, that's all right, Dory.
I was just going to tell you when she tried to burn Mr. Carlo. Did I say something wrong, Mr.
No, Dory, not at all. And we thank you very much. All right, sit down, Mrs. Grant, Mr. Carlo. You can get down now, Dory.
Oh, no, she can't.
What?
Just stay right there, child. I've got a question now.
Oh?
He's snapping at it, Della.
What?
He's snapping at it.
Snapping at what?
Debate. Wait, listen to him yell.
Now, Dorothy, you just told us that Mrs. Grant was always sweet and kind.
Uh-huh.
But, as Mr. Mason said, actions mean more than words.
My daddy says that, too.
Now, let's hear of the action Mr. Mason stopped you from telling us about, Dory. When Mrs. Grant tried to burn Mr. Carlo. Now, did it really happen?
Uh-huh, in the kitchen. There was a pan of water on the stove. It was a gas stove.
And was the water boiling?
Uh-huh. And Mommy, Mrs. Grant, took the pan of water and made Mr. Carlo run away.
Oh, she did she?
Uh-huh.
So the sweet, kind, even-tempered Mrs. Grant, who never got mad, flew into a murderous rage, did she?
She tried to burn Mr. Carlo with the water. She was so mad.
There you are, ladies and gentlemen. There is an action that tells you a lot about the defendant. That's all, Dorothy.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dory, but now I have a question.
What?
You didn't tell us all about what happened, Dory. You haven't told us why Mrs. Grant tried to burn Mr. Carlo.
Your Honor.
You opened this door, Apt. I'm questioning Dory about part of the same action you did.
Now, Dory, why did she try to burn Mr. Carlo?
Because of the milk.
What?
Mr. Carlo tried to give me some milk and
There, now you've heard the reason. Let the child step down, man.
Wait, Ab, wait. Was that all that was in the glass, Dory? Just milk?
No. No, Mommy and I were cleaning the refrigerator. I mean, Mrs. Grant. Mrs. Grant had some milk for my lunch.
Oh, Mason, we've labored this.
Go on, Dory.
Well, just had time to clean the refrigerator before lunch. And then she, Mr. Carlo, got up.
Got up?
Up out of bed and came into the kitchen. Mom, Mrs. Grant was putting some milk bottles in the back porch when Mr. Carlo came into the kitchen.
Oh, wait, now, you say that she had just gotten up. How do you know that?
She had on her bathrobe and slippers. She never got up until just before lunch.
Objection. Oh, never mind.
So, what happened, Dory?
Mr. Carlo saw the milk. She poured some in a glass, and she got some other stuff out of another bottle, a green bottle. Mr. Carlo called it rum.
You called it rum, Dory? You're sure?
She called it that, and I said we needed the milk for lunch. And that's when she said...
Who, Dory?
Mr. Carlo. She said, all right, if I wanted some milk, I could have some of hers.
Wait, Dory. Some of hers that she had mixed with that stuff from the green bottle?
Uh-huh. I didn't want any. It didn't smell so good. But she tried to make...
Tried to make you drink it?
Yes. I cried, and then Mommy came back and saw her.
Mrs. Grant?
Mrs. Grant. She saw me crying. She saw what Mr. Carlo was doing. And Mommy... Mrs. Grant got mad.
Mrs. Grant got mad?
Picked up that water and... Well, she was awful mad.
Yes, Dory, I'll bet she was awful mad. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, isn't it beginning to come plain? The deeper we go, the more truth we see in May Grant's statement at the time of her arrest. She said she was a prisoner. And by any definition, May Grant and Dory were prisoners. If you're locked up against your will, you're a prisoner. That's all. And as for this last... Well, May Grant is human, ladies and gentlemen. Not a murderess, but human. And is there a human being in this room who can blame her for getting awful mad? May Grant loves this baby. How do you think she felt when she saw that woman? And I'm talking about the one right over there behind you, Mr. Amp. When she saw that woman trying to force liquor down this child's throat. Can you blame her? That's all, Dory. Mr. Amp doesn't have any more questions.
More about Perry Mason after this word for you ladies. Tide's in with a dishwashing miracle.
Cleaner dishes, ring-free pan, Tide cuts grease as no soap can.
Yes, it's a dishwashing miracle. Cleaner dishes, ring-free pan. 'Cause Tide cuts grease as no soap can. With Tide in your dishpan, grease actually seems to disappear, even from the dishwater itself. The water stays so clean and pleasant. Those long-lasting Tide suds stay so fresh. And when you're through, there's no greasy ring round your dishpan. And Tide works a miracle on dishes, gets them cleaner, more sparkling bright than any soap of any kind. You see, Tide leaves no dulling soap film, so glasses shine, dishes gleam, even when you just rinse them and let them drain dry. Why, Tide's about the best thing that ever happened to dishwashing, for no product made will do your dishes easier than Tide. Tide's kind to your hands, too, now milder than ever. So put Tide in your dishpan and see a dishwashing miracle.
Cleaner dishes, ring-free pan, Tide cuts grease as no soap can.
It's a dishwashing miracle.
T-I-D-E, Tide.
At the start, Mr. Apt paid Perry Mason lip service as being a master courtroom strategist. But those were just words. Now, Mr. Apt is seeing Perry Mason in action.
and Mr. Apt doesn't feel quite so confident. Well, be sure to join us for tomorrow's important and exciting development. Join us tomorrow when Ty brings you Perry Mason, the famous character created by Earl Stanley Gardner. Meantime, remember, for greater convenience, for real money saving, and for the cleanest wash in town, always buy Tide in the giant economy size. This is the CBS Radio Network.
It's immediately after the close of our last episode, when, for the first since the beginning of the trial of State versus May Grant for the murder of Marcel Blanc, the tide of battle seems to be turning against Prosecutor Apt. And right now, as little Dory Grant leaves the stand, as Prosecutor Apt prepares to call his next witness, at the defense table...
Oh, Mr. Bailey, Mr. Edward L. Bailey.
Oh, Perry, that was wonderful.
Oh, now, Bella.
Everybody knows how May and Dory were prisoners in that apartment, and it didn't hurt any to bring out what Kitty tried to do to Dory. Feeding that baby rum. Well, what's the matter?
How about our detective?
What?
What about our detective?
Well, I called his office. He was out.
Oh, I keep calling.
Now I want to hear the next witness. Hey, Perry, I think I know him.
You do know where the phone booth is, don't you?
Oh, you slave
Bella,
driver.
I mean it right now. I need a break. One little break from Paul to keep this ball rolling. You get Paul on the phone, and if there's any message, you give it to me no matter what is happening.
All right, Mr. Apt, the witness is ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Will you tell us your name, please?
Bailey. Edward L. Bailey.
And your profession, sir?
Attorney, corporation attorney.
Your reputation is well known, sir, but for the record, the nature of your legal practice is such that you deal with large sums of money.
Well,
you're on the board of the Hunt Bank.
Yes.
The director in Marshall Motors.
I am.
And a past president of the Bar Association.
Yes.
Splendid record, sir. You're to be congratulated.
I'm a busy man, Mr. Apt. Now,
Hey? Oh, yes, of course. And now I ask you, Mr. Bailey, did you know a man named Marcel Blanc?
Yes, I did.
And his wife, professionally known as Kitty DiCarlo?
Well, not personally.
What about the child known as Dory Grant?
I've met her.
And the woman right over there, the defendant?
Yes.
How did you happen to meet these people, sir?
Well, in the course of my duties as trustee for the child's estate.
It's a sizable estate, I believe.
Oh, several million. Yes, sizable. I suppose you could say sizable.
Since you are a busy man, Mr. Bailey, I'll come to the point. You can clear up for us.
Yes, good.
You talked with the defendant and with the deceased Mr. Blanc and with the child in the apartment where they lived.
That's true, I did.
How did you happen to go there?
Well, Miss DiCarlo was making application to take over as administratrix of her daughter's estate.
Oh?
I went to see if the child was getting proper care.
So you went to the apartment?
I did. I believed Mrs. Grant was simply the nurse.
Mr. Bailey, it's been implied that the little girl and Mrs. Grant were prisoners in that apartment. Now, can you shed any light on that assertion?
Prisoners?
Dorothy told us she tried to leave the apartment with Mrs. Grant, but that they stopped and turned back.
Oh, that. Yes, of course, that's easily explained. I approved the expenditure myself.
Expenditure?
To pay the private detectives guarding the little girl. That fellow Blanc, a level-headed seeming chap, he thought it'd be a good idea if she were guarded. Well, later, there seemed to be some question about the nurse, Mrs. Grant. I'm certain that fellow Blanc gave the guards specific orders against her taking Dorothy out.
Well, did you hear that, ladies and gentlemen? Now, one more thing, Mr. Bailey. It's been implied Miss DiCarlo is not a fit mother for her child. Now, you went to the apartment to investigate that very question. Give us your impressions, if you please, sir.
There's no question about it. The apartment was neat as a pin, with everything in it a child could want. I spoke to the little girl myself. I saw her playing. Now, she was happy as a lark.
And did you question Mrs. Grant?
I did indeed. I questioned her specifically. Asked her how the little girl felt about her mother. Well, the child told me she loved her mother.
Yes, but did Mrs. Grant say anything about Miss DiCarlo?
She did. Mrs. Grant told me specifically and definitely that the little girl's mother was a perfect mother.
Yeah. I believe that's all, Mr. Bailey. You've cleared things up nicely.
Yes, then if I may retire...
I have a question or so, Mr. Bailey.
Oh, but Mr. Mason, Mr. Bailey's a busy man.
Sure, but not so busy he has to fly away before he's cross-examined.
Go ahead, Mr. Mason.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Bailey.
Yes?
Did you personally know just why Marcel Blanc seemed to distrust Mrs. Grant?
Well, not personally. He said there was some question of her loyalty.
As far as you know, she was loyal.
Well, yes, putting it like that.
That's how I put it.
She could have been.
Then she could also have been a prisoner for no reason you knew of, for no legal or moral reason.
Well, yes, she could have been.
I point out to the jury the assumption remains unchanged. May Grant was a prisoner, no matter who paid the guards. Now, about your visit, Mr. Bailey. You say the apartment was clean, neat as a pin, I believe you said.
Yes, it was.
Who kept it that way?
Well, I don't know. I assume
you don't know Mr. Carlo did?
No, as a matter of fact, I don't. At that time, it didn't make much difference to me. The point was, the apartment was clean.
Yes. Now, about what Dory and Mrs. Grant told you. Did Dory say she loved Miss DiCarlo?
Of course. She said she loved her mother very dearly.
Oh, well, just a moment, Mr. Bailey. I'll read to you an extract from Dory's testimony. Question. Whom do you mean when you say Mommy, Dorothy? Answer. Mommy, Mrs. Grant.
What?
Did Dory say she loved Miss DiCarlo or Mommy?
Well, come to think of it, I don't believe she referred to Miss DiCarlo. In fact,
Yes?
In fact, she was holding Mrs. Grant's hand and looking up into her face when she said she loved her mother. Well, that chap Blanc said something just then that took my mind off it. But I was led to believe that when Dory said Mommy, she meant her mother, Miss DiCarlo.
Yes, we understand. And now, Mr. Bailey, as to what Mrs. Grant said about Dorothy's mother, did Mrs. Grant refer to the mother by name? I mean, Miss DiCarlo?
Why, well, I'm under the impression she did, but I couldn't swear to it.
All right, then. Just what did Mrs. Grant say about Dory's mother?
It was a simple tribute, simple and touching. She merely said that Dory's mother loved Dory. It gave her pleasure to bathe her, feed her, make clothes for her doll, all those things. She said she supposed Dory's mother was a good mother because she did all those things simply because she loved her child.
Mr. Bailey, when Mrs. Grant talked about Dory's mother, she could have been talking about herself, couldn't she?
Well, I couldn't say she was, young man. I can only repeat her words. You understand that, Mr. Mason?
Yes, of course.
But you asked me if she might have been. Yes, she might have been.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Mr. Bailey. And now, sir... excuse me one moment, Your Honor.
Harry. I reached Paul. Here you are. Take this note.
You certain?
Positive.
Okay. Now, watch me. Your Honor.
Yes, Mr. Mason?
Your Honor, at this time, the defense moves that you direct the jury to find the defendant not guilty.
What did you say?
The prosecutor's case is coming apart at the seams. Now we've heard innuendos and insinuations and half-truths from a whole parade of witnesses. A flock of them, Your Honor. But so far, not one has proved May Grant lied. So far, not one has proved that May Grant and only May Grant could have killed Marcel Blanc. Oh, yes, the evidence points to a woman. But why May Grant?
You suggest someone else, Mr. Mason?
I certainly would.
And who would you suggest?
Kitty DiCarlo.
Oh, silly.
Every shred of evidence that points to May Grant points to Kitty DiCarlo as well. Every shred of physical evidence. And that's all you have, Mr. Rapp.
You should have been the prosecutor, Mr. Mason.
If I had been, believe me, I would have come into this court with clean hands.
Mr. Mason.
Sorry, Your Honor, but I was carried away.
If Mr. Mason were in my place, Your Honor, he'd put Miss DiCarlo on the stand and prove an alibi for her before anything else. Am I right, Mr. Mason?
Yes, you certainly are.
Your Honor, I think he has a point there. Believe me, sir, we can all learn from such a man as Mr. Perry Mason.
Does this mean that you, Mr. Rapp?
It means I'll take the wind out. It means I'll accept your challenge, Alibi, before I do another thing. His Honor will agree to adjourn until tomorrow.
Oh, I will move that we adjourn, Mr. Rapp.
So ordered. Court adjourned until 10 tomorrow.
Prosecutor Apt gave in pretty easily, didn't he? Well, we're quite sure if Perry Mason hadn't been so positive he'd maneuvered the prosecutor into a trap, he'd have noticed the smile around Mr. Apt's eyes when he asked for an adjournment. It's certainly evident that something has happened behind the scenes and, well, join us tomorrow by all means, won't you? It's early evening, several hours after the close of our last episode. As in front of Della Street's apartment building, we hear...
Here I am, Perry.
Oh, good. Oh, my, you look nice, Della. Very nice indeed.
I smell good, too. New perfume.
Oh?
Where'd you park the car?
Oh, wait, isn't there a florist shop in this block?
A florist? Why, yes. Come on, I'll show you. You don't usually give me flowers until after you've won the case.
Yes, that's true.
I thought you were a little set back this afternoon when Mr. Apt agreed to put Kitty on the stand. But since we located the witnesses who will give Kitty her alibi, and since we know what to do about them... Hey, did I give you that insurance report at the office?
Oh, yes.
Oh,
I'm
good.
all ready for them. But, well, I don't know how to tell you this, Della. But, you'll have to wait for your flowers.
Oh?
Well, at least until we're sure Mr. Rapp doesn't have the key to the trap I've set for him. The flowers are for a lovely lady. Another lovely lady.
Thanks. Anyone I know?
Mm-hmm.
Who?
Let's go in. You do smell good.
That's the flowers, silly.
Oh.
Yes, sir?
Oh, I would like to order some roses, please.
Roses, yes, indeed, sir. And does the young lady wish red or white?
They aren't for me.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought...
Oh, it's a natural mistake. I made it myself.
A dozen of the red, if you please.
Oh, yes, sir. To be delivered or...
Yes, to be delivered.
Yes, sir. Take me a moment to pack them, sir.
Well, we won't wait. I'll just leave a card.
Oh, yes, sir.
Oh, they're lovely.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they are for a Mrs. Morgan at, here. Here's her address. You can copy that.
Yes, sir. I'll get you one of our special cards.
All right.
So they're for Mrs. Morgan, Well, she sure deserves bouquets.
Mm-hmm. She deserves more than that. If she hadn't posed as Kitty DiCarlo and helped locate those witnesses...
Here you are, sir.
Oh, yes, thank you. That's all right. I have my own pen.
Yes, sir. Oh, pardon me, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Peerless Flower Shop? Oh, yes, sir. Mr. Frederick Apt. Yes, sir.
Harry.
Of course, Mr. Apt.
Oh?
A half dozen of the red. Yes, sir. And will you pick them up, or shall I, Yes, sir. They'll be waiting. Oh, and Mr. Apt, may I offer my congratulations, sir?
How is this for a coincidence?
I've been following the case in the papers, and... you're certainly welcome, sir. And thank you. Yes, sir. I'll leave the box open so you can put in your card. Goodbye, Mr. Apt. They'll be waiting for you.
Excuse me, I couldn't help overhearing. But was that Mr. Frederick Apt?
Oh, yes, indeed. Yes, the prosecutor. The famous prosecutor. Oh, we have some very important customers.
Well.
Just at the moment, Mr. Apt is prosecuting... You've been following the case by any chance?
Well, yes, we are rather familiar with it.
I'll tell you something.
Do.
That defense lawyer, Mason?
Oh, yes, Mason.
Mason doesn't have Mr. Apt worried a bit.
No?
No. Mr. Apt is in excellent spirits. There was some speculation in the papers today after the defense demanded Mr. Carlo's testimony, but I can personally tell you Mr. Apt isn't worried.
Well, fine now. Now, here, if you'll take my card.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes, sir. I'll put it right in the box.
Something the matter?
You signed this, Perry Mason.
It happens to be my name.
Well, now, isn't that a coincidence? Oh.
I'll pay you for those now.
Oh, yes, Mr. Mason. It'll be $12, sir.
All right. Here you are. Well, 12. And now I will tell you something.
Please, Mr. Mason, now I didn't
To tell Mr. Apt when he comes in to pick up his flowers. You tell him Mr. Mason isn't worried either. Will you do that,
Yes, sir.
See the flowers get right out to Mrs. Morgan, all right?
Who is it?
Me.
Oh, Anna.
You dressing, dearie?
What's it look like? Mr. App's coming to visit.
I wondered why the perfume.
Well, he happens to like it.
So much?
Mm-hmm. He wants to rehearse my testimony. But I'm not going to talk about the trial all night.
No.
He likes perfume. With that beer smell, you better get out of here, Anna. You know, sometime you're going to come barging in, and he'll be here.
I didn't expect to see Mr. Rapp.
Who'd you expect, Vanek? My stocking seems straight, Anna.
No John either.
Then who? What's up, Anna?
Kitty, I just got a phone call.
Yeah?
From Mona Lee.
Who?
Mona Lee Fox, dearie. One of your witnesses.
So what?
She phoned me from the Turtle Bar. She works there. But you know where that is, don't you, dearie?
Me?
Don't give me that innocent look.
Anna, what's this all about?
Don't you ever learn? Didn't Jacobson teach you?
I don't know what you're talking about.
All right, I'll tell you. You were out drinking.
Me?
Last night with a man.
You must be nuts or something. I never
You
let
little
people...
fool.
Keep away from me.
You want to wreck everything?
Now, wait, Anna. Let me tell you.
Who was he?
Anna, wait.
Come out from behind that chair. Now, you tell me.
Stop it!
Kitty?
I didn't go out of this room last night.
I warned you not to.
Apt was here last night. Mr. Apt. Now, you know that.
Yes, but after he left.
No, Anna, I didn't.
Don't lie to me.
I'm not lying. Did Mona Lee say I was... If she said I was in the Turtle Bar, she was lying. Either she was lying or mistaken.
She wasn't lying, and she wasn't mistaken. She saw you, and Richard Lappin saw you.
They couldn't have. Now, wait a minute, Anna. Did she call just to say I was in the
called
Turtle...
a report, and she mentioned seeing you.
Oh?
About midnight.
But Mr. Apt was here until... Anna, don't look like that. They saw somebody else.
They couldn't have.
Well, why not? Somebody who looked like me. They've never seen me.
No.
Just pictures of me. They could be mistaken.
Possibly.
Well, just a coincidence, Anna. Somebody else who looks like me.
That's stretching coincidence too far.
Uh-huh.
Mona Lee spoke to you.
She what?
Mona Lee is smart. She's going to alibi you. It'd look strange if she hadn't recognized you.
Oh, and she spoke.
She said, "Good evening, Mr. Carlo," and you answered.
I answered?
So you see, dearie, that's what I said.
Well, wait. Wait, what time was that?
About midnight.
All right, Anna. I can prove it. You haven't seen Vanek?
Not since I talked to Mona. Why?
John saw Mr. Apt leave last night.
Hmm?
He did. You can ask John. Just ask him. He'll tell you it was after midnight when Apt left. Just ask John.
I will, before you have a chance to speak to him.
He'll tell you, Anna, unless he lies to get me in Dutch.
John won't lie to me.
So, okay, it was somebody else, Anna. It had to be.
If you told me the truth...
I have. It was somebody else who looked like
You
me.
think so, huh?
What else?
Somebody who looked enough like your picture to fold Mona Lee. Somebody with your name.
Oh.
That's a little too much coincidence, dearie.
Yeah. Gee, what's it mean, Anna?
I don't know.
Trouble?
Trouble? No, not trouble. At least, not trouble I can't handle.
I'm worried, Anna.
Don't you worry, sweet. Don't you worry 1 second. Not if John backs your story.
Oh, he will.
Well, then, don't you even think about it, dearie. Just see that Mr. Apt has a pleasant evening.
Anna, what if Miss...
Now, don't you bother, baby. Do you hear me? Anna will think it over. Oh, yes. You may be sure Anna will think it over. Now then, Do you want a vase, Catherine? Do you think Mr. Apt is likely to bring you some flowers?
Well, if Frederick Apt were the only antagonist he had to face, Perry Mason wouldn't have as much cause to worry. But behind Mr. Apt and Kitty, behind everything that's happened to May Grant, is Anna B. Hurley. And now that Anna is alerted, well, join us tomorrow by all means. It's 11 in the morning. Judge Selby's court has been in session for an hour. An hour during which Kitty DiCarlo has been on the witness stand and, under Prosecutor Apt's expert direction, has been making a well-planned and beautifully executed play for the jury's sympathy. But, curiously enough, defense counsel Perry Mason doesn't seem worried or bothered, or even very much impressed as...
Can you continue now, Mr. Carlo?
I'll try.
Oh, dear. Let me get you a glass of water.
Poor Mr. Carlo.
She's sick.
Anybody would look sick with no lipstick on.
It's a beautiful act. Shame to break it up.
Hey, what are you doing with my purse?
Well, it's time for me to get into this act.
What are you looking for in my purse, Perry Mason?
Aspirin.
Oh, yeah, sure. I always carry it.
And cough drops. That's all. Thank you, darling. Oh, Mr. Apt.
Oh, yes, Mason.
Before you give Mr. Carlo that water, I have some aspirin for her.
Aspirin? Well, now, isn't that thoughtful, Mr. Mason?
Why, nothing, really. Here you are, Mr. Carlo.
Wait. Let me see.
Oh, it has aspirin stamped right on the tablet, Mr. Apt. Surely you don't think that I would offer your witness something else?
Oh, my, no.
Watch it. Don't spill the water.
Huh? Oh, yes. Here you are, Mr. Carlo.
And here is your aspirin.
Thanks. Thanks so much.
Oh, and that isn't all. Cough.
Oh, she has, Mr. Mason, a severe case of laryngitis. Pain is terrific. But Mr. Carlo insisted on giving her testimony.
Yes, well, of course. Later, if she gets tired.
Oh, if she gets too tired, then we just have to give her a rest.
Especially if I'm cross-examining?
We have to think of Mr. Carlo's throat.
Mr. Mason, Mr. Apt.
Yes, Your Honor.
I hate to disturb you two gentlemen.
Well, that's all right, Your Honor.
But don't you think we might get on with this trial?
By all means, sir. But first, let me give Mr. Carlo these.
What's that?
Some cough drops.
Mr. Mason, you're too kind.
Oh, not at all, Mr. Apt.
Now, do you think, Mr. Mason? Order, please. Can Mr. Carlo go on, Mr. Apt?
I'll ask her. Mr. Carlo?
I'll try.
Then I suggest that you get started.
Please don't tire her unnecessarily.
Suppose you listen too, Mr. Mason.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Carlo.
Yes, sir.
You interrupt me if you begin to tire. Huh?
I will.
Mr. Carlo, certain testimony was given at this trial about an incident. An incident which occurred in the apartment where your husband was killed.
Yes, sir.
At the time Mrs. Grant threatened you with physical harm.
Which time was that?
What? There were several times?
Oh, yes, sir.
Oh. Well, first tell us about the time that she tried to burn you.
Oh, that time.
We have heard one version of the story.
I know. Poor Doris.
And now, unless you're tired.
Oh, no, sir. I want the truth to be known. I want it to be a matter of record.
Good.
It happened while I was sick.
Sick?
Yes, sir. Another attack of laryngitis.
Oh, I see.
I had drugs, but I don't like to take drugs, and the doctor had prescribed a cup of hot milk punch.
Milk punch? Just what?
Well, it's a little rum and hot milk.
Oh, yes, for your throat.
Mm-hmm. Well, there was a bottle of rum in the kitchen cabinet. I dragged myself out of bed to heat the milk.
Now, couldn't someone have done it for you?
I didn't ask Mrs. Grant to fix things for me, Mr. Apt. I was awful careful of what I ate or drank.
Your Honor, that statement is irrelevant.
Your objection sustained. Strike the part of her answer after I didn't ask Mrs. Grant to fix things for me. All right, Mr.
Yes, sir. All right, Mr. Carlo. You went to the kitchen.
Well, Dory was in there alone. I got the bottle of milk and started to mix in the rum, and Dory said that was all the milk we had. So I said, I said I'd get some more as soon as I got dressed.
Yes, so go on.
Well, a little child needs her milk.
Of course.
Well, Dory and I were just standing there talking. Mrs. Grant didn't give me much chance to talk to my little girl.
Oh, Your Honor.
Now, just tell us what happened, please.
Well, I didn't use all the milk, so I asked Dory if she wanted a glass.
Oh, now, wait. You offered Dory plain milk.
Plain? Oh, yes, Mr. App. Why, anybody who'd offer rum punch to a little girl, well, I wouldn't do that.
Yes, I thought not.
Well, I didn't notice, but Mrs. Grant had sneaked back to the kitchen and was standing behind me.
And you didn't see her?
Well, not until all of a sudden she flew in there like a banshee.
Oh.
She was yelling I was trying to give liquor to Dory.
No.
Oh, yes, and she did. She picked up a pan of boiling hot water and she tried to burn me.
Oh, poor lady.
Oh, I know what Dory told you all. And I don't blame that child for 1 minute being mixed up. No wonder she was mixed up with that woman telling her things.
Your Honor. Just confine yourself to what you know, Mr. Carlo.
Yes, Your Honor.
You say there were other times when Mrs. Grant tried to harm you.
Oh, sure. Do you want me to tell you about the time she
Just a moment, Mr. Carlo.
Mm-hmm.
Rest your throat for a minute.
What's this, Mr. Mason?
Well, I didn't object to Mr. Carlo's giving her side of that rum punch story. It was already in the record.
And you have no grounds to object now.
Yes, Mason. What's the question?
Well, I know that we want to find out what happened in that apartment, Your Honor.
So that's why Dorothy was allowed such latitude in her testimony.
Oh, yes. It was made plain that there were limitations to the weight of Dory's story.
Eh? Why, certainly, since she's just a child.
Yes, the restriction of her age was carefully pointed out to the jury, Mr. Rapp. There is also a restriction to the weight that should be given Mr. Carlo's testimony.
Oh, come now, Mason. She has laryngitis.
Oh, I'm not talking about her health, Mr. Rapp. I'm certain she's as healthy as a horse.
What?
Just what are you getting at, then, Mr. Mason?
Why, I think the jury should be informed that Mr. Carlo is also a murder suspect.
What was that?
I'm sure you heard me, Mr. Rapp. I said a murder suspect. And the jury should take into account the fact that...
How can you say that, Mr. Mason? This poor woman. This poor woman whose child was stolen, whose dearly beloved husband...
That is the point.
Eh?
You have done your best to show that Mrs. Grant was in love with Mr. Carlo's husband.
She was.
So you say. And let us say that Mr. Carlo believed it.
I did.
Just a moment. And may I continue, Your Honor?
This is highly informal, Mr. Mason.
No, let him go ahead, Your Honor. I think I know where he's going.
I was going to say that perhaps on one point, Mr. Carlo has told the truth.
What do you...
Yes, I say the approach, Mr. Carlo. Yes.
I'm saying perhaps she did love her husband.
I worshipped him.
So, if Mr. Carlo loved her husband, who is to say she didn't kill him?
Her own husband?
Motive jealousy. It has happened.
Oh, but Mason.
Mr. Carlo had a motive and opportunity. That makes her a suspect.
Well, now, Mason. Well, now, if that's all.
So that's plenty. I'm sure the jury will remember it while hearing her testimony.
What if I were to prove she didn't have opportunity, Mr. Mason? What then, eh? Would you stipulate she's to have full latitude and credibility if I prove she couldn't have killed her husband?
If you will stipulate that she is a prime suspect, if you can't so prove.
Very well. Your Honor, at this time I wish to interpolate the testimony of certain witnesses.
Witnesses?
Mr. Mason has cast a shadow of suspicion on this witness, this important state's witness. I want to clear it away.
Oh, but, Your Honor, I didn't.
Motion granted. You started this, Mr. Mason.
Oh, very well, sir.
Oh, so he fell for it.
Yes. He couldn't fall fast enough.
That's because he thinks he's trapping you.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to give me that report on them, Bella?
Here you are. I hate to think where we'd be without this report, Chief.
Yes. Up a creek.
Yes, Kitty would be clear, and the jury would believe everything she said.
What?
Hmm?
What's the matter with Mr. Abt?
I don't know. Why is he charging over here?
All right, Mason, all right.
What's the matter with you?
What have you done with Richard Lappin and Mona Lee Fox? Well.
Done with?
They can't be found. Those witnesses can't be found.
What?
They're gone. And you know where. You'll pay for this, Mason. This time you've gone too far.
Well, Prosecutor Apt, doesn't know it. But the disappearance of those witnesses is an even greater blow to Perry Mason than to him. But even Perry Mason doesn't know just how serious the consequences will be. Join us on Monday, won't you? It's immediately after the close of our last episode. As you know, there's been a sensational development in the trial of State versus May Grant for the murder of Marcel Blanc. As you know, 2 key state witnesses have disappeared. On hearing the news, Prosecutor Apt rushed over to the defense table, accused Perry Mason of being responsible for their disappearance, and...
Well, Mason? Well, do you have anything to say?
I say lower your voice, Mr. Apt. Judge Selby...
is going to hear me, Mason, as will everyone in this courtroom, as will the Bar Association.
Perhaps, Mr. Mason?
Just a moment, Your Honor. Just one short moment, if you please. All right now, Mason. I'll give you one chance to tell me what you did with him.
I hate to spoil your fun, Apt, but I'm as surprised as you are. In fact...
Mason, are you going to deny that you knew...
Of course I knew about them. As a matter of fact, I knew more about both of those witnesses than you did. I wanted them to testify.
What?
They're crooks, Mr. Apt. Show the prosecutor that insurance report, Miss Street.
Yes, Mason.
What? What did you say? Crooks? Insurance report.
Your witnesses are crooks. They're wanted for bringing false suit against a Minnesota doctor. Now show it to him, Miss Street.
Here you are, Mr. Apt. Go on, take it.
Yeah. Names are different.
I think you will notice a resemblance in the photographs.
And the fingerprints, Mr. Apt. Don't forget the fingerprints.
The names don't matter.
A rose by any other name, you know.
Well, I must say, Mason, I must say. Looks as if I owe you a debt of thanks. Yes, it looks as though I do.
Well, you can skip the debt. But if I were you, I'd go tell Judge Selby and then get on with this.
Well, of course I will. Of course I will. Yes, indeed, I do owe you a debt of thanks. Oh, if I had put them on the stand, I'd... Well, as it is, no harm's been done.
Except that Mr. Carlo doesn't have an alibi.
Whatever makes you say that, Miss Street?
Why ever wouldn't I say it? She's got no alibi. Her witnesses are gone.
Therefore, as you stipulated, Mr. Apt, she is the prime suspect.
Oh, but you're wrong, Mr. Mason. Very wrong.
How?
Mr. Carlo has an alibi. You don't think she had only one string to her bow?
What?
Oh, my, didn't you know about him? You mean you didn't know about Mr. Cadredes?
Another witness?
That's right, Miss Street, another witness. And a reputable witness. Well, if you'll excuse me, I'll go explain to Judge Selby.
How?
Well, first, of course, about the 2 witnesses who disappeared. Yes, I think I'll have him issue a bench warrant for them. Then I should explain that it's simply impossible for Mr. Cadredes to appear before this afternoon. So we'd best adjourn for lunch. What did you ask, Mr. Mason?
I asked how. How can you explain away a lying witness?
You mean Mr. Cadredes?
Mr. Apt, if Cadredes' alibi is Kitty DiCarlo, he'll have to lie.
So you think, Mr. Mason?
I know it, as well as I know my own name.
Well, then, Mason, I'm certainly happy you aren't on the jury. Oh, very happy. Now, if you'll excuse me, please. Oh, and, Mr. Mason, thanks again. I mean it.
Meanwhile, in an old apartment building, many blocks away, the witness, Valeria Gedrades, slowly climbs the stairs to the 5th floor.
Mama.
I heard you on the stairs, Papa, so I opened the door for you.
What were you doing near the door? Something happened. Our daughter?
Sleeping. That is sleeping now. The doctor...
Doctor?
I had to get him. Oh, Papa, you should have seen her. I was so frightened. But the doctor gave her an injection.
Oh. What happened?
She tried to walk again this morning.
Oh.
I didn't know until I heard her fall.
Is she? When she fell, did she hurt herself?
No. The doctor does not think she harmed herself.
But the pain, what about...
The old injury. He said something else.
Yes?
Papa, she has to have the operation not just for the pain, not just so she can walk.
Huh?
He used words I would not understand, not even in our native tongue. No one hears Nara.
Still, you must not mention... Tell me about it, Doctor.
She must have the operation soon, Papa, or there may not be time.
She will have her operation.
What?
She will be well. Our girl is going to have the same chance as other girls.
But the money, Papa.
We will have the money, and our daughter will have her operation.
Soon, Papa?
Within the month.
How?
You must ask me no questions.
But, Papa?
No question, no.
Papa.
If I speak harshly, if I seem not to be myself...
I will try to understand as I have understood before. After all, I am your wife. The wife of Gidraitis, if that is a name we must
Don't
use.
say that.
Gidraitis or any other name. Papa, can't you understand? This is the United States. We can talk as we wish. We can say what we wish. No one hears us in our own apartment.
Oh.
And don't you forget that. So now you are hungry. You sit down and I will make lunch and we will talk.
No. No, there is nothing to say. Only that she will have the operation. And that you must never mention. Never say a word about it until
Talk is nothing if she is going to be well. That is all I care for.
I, too. Now I must prepare to go.
You must eat first.
No, I'm not hungry.
Papa, to bear witness will be hard.
I can't eat.
Then coffee. I will heat your coffee.
Please.
And you will drink coffee, Gidraitis. You will not go to court. You will not be witness at any trial. You hear me?
Yes,
Mom. Sorry, you have to go to court. I'm happy at what you just told me. I'm so happy. It is a big thing to be told all at once.
Yes. A big thing.
Papa, you're not happy.
No questions.
All right, no questions. Sit down here, no questions, Gidraitis.
But it's not a joke, Mom.
Oh? It is not a joke. My man brings the most wonderful news I've heard since we entered this country. And I must not be gay. It is to laugh and joke and sing.
No questions, Mama, please.
All right. No questions. But why, Papa? The news you brought is what we've longed and dreamed for. And yet you're sad.
I can't explain the sadness. After the trial, perhaps.
Oh, yes, the trial. Papa, I understand. Oh, your clumsy wife. Of course you are sad. It is what you had to do that bears so heavy on you.
It is all right.
I wish you did not have to bear the witness.
I must.
To speak the truth is sometimes hard. It is a sad burden to carry.
Mama, please.
By the papers, what you say will prove the guilt of Mrs. Grant.
Mama, I do not carry the burden alone. There are others who
No.
Huh?
You do not know.
No?
It is best that you should. I'll pour your coffee then.
No what, Mama?
Wait. Mrs. Kaczynski told me a few minutes ago. Drink your coffee.
Mrs. Kaczynski, what about her?
Eat, Papa. And here's sugar for your coffee. Mrs. Kaczynski heard it on her wireless. The others have gone away.
Who?
Eat, Gidraitis. The other witnesses who saw Mr. Carlo, they cannot be found. So it is all on you, Papa. Poor man. And poor lady.
What?
Poor Mrs. Grant, she will have to die.
No.
I will say poor lady. Even if she is guilty, she is a poor lady. So sad and so sweet looking in her picture.
It is not for us to question.
To question, no. To pity, yes. And the little girl.
We have a little girl.
What?
We have a little girl. Pity her.
Larry.
I have pity and thoughts for my little girl alone. I cannot eat.
Papa.
I must go. And do not speak of the other again.
As you wish.
Do not speak. Never speak. Do not say those names.
Before me, brush your suit.
The burden of Valaria Gidraitis is infinitely heavier than his wife can guess, because not only the operation, but the very lives of his beloved wife and daughter depend on Gidraitis following Anna B. Hurley's orders. Yes, Valeria Gedrades knows well that in order to preserve his own family, he'll have to doom May Grant. Join us tomorrow. It's afternoon, 2 hours after the close of our last episode. Almost time for the trial of State versus May Grant for the murder of Marcel Blanc to resume. As you know, an important point may be settled in a few moments. That point, you remember, is whether or not Kitty DiCarlo, State's witness and wife of the murdered man, is herself above suspicion. Perry Mason contends she is not. That it is entirely possible Kitty DiCarlo committed the murder and now is trying to throw suspicion on Mason's client. And, of course, the only way the State can prove Mason's contention wrong is to provide Miss DiCarlo with an adequate alibi. And that's just what the State is going to try and do. Well, right now, as we follow Perry Mason from the corridor phone booth and into Judge Selby's courtroom...
Excuse me. Excuse me, please. Will you pardon me, please?
Oh, you're back.
Yes.
Well, you look very cheerful, Counselor.
I'm wearing a big smile, am I not?
Which looks as if it was tattooed on. Bad news from Paul?
It wasn't the best, Della.
We've had bad news before.
The next witness is a good man.
Well, so what? Really?
Paul checked him as well as he could on such short notice, but Gedrades is a good man. A good, honest man. So say his neighbors. So say the people with whom he trades. So say his priests.
Yet he's going to furnish Kitty DiCarlo with an alibi?
He's the next witness.
You think it's a mistake, Perry?
We'll find out when he gets on the stand.
If it isn't a mistake, he'll be lying.
Well, I'll give you 100 to 1 on that, Della.
And if he's lying, well, any lie can be broken. At least that's what a lawyer of my acquaintance always says. A lawyer named Perry Mason.
Does he? Well, now I'm going to tell you something else he says.
Who?
Perry Mason.
What does he say?
He says he's glad he has a secretary named Della Street.
Glad enough to give her a raise in salary.
Court will come to order. All right, all right.
I didn't hear you answer, Counselor.
No, I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, great. Playing deaf at a time like this. All right, you want me to repeat?
No, not now, please. I have to concentrate on the witness.
Tell the court your name, please.
Gedrades. Valeria Gedrades.
Are you a native of this country, Mr. Gedrades?
No, sir. I am not.
A naturalized citizen?
I've taken out the papers. The first paper.
But you understand English?
Oh, yes, sir. I have English, a little Polish, a little Dutch, and Czech. Much Czech and much German.
All we're interested in is your understanding of English.
To write, not so well. But to hear and understand and say, yes.
Very good. Now, what's your occupation, please?
I work in the establishment of a countryman, Prusmak.
And what business is that?
A small grocery, sir.
Your duties?
Duties? I do not...
What do you do? You have an interest in the business? Are you a part owner?
Owner? Oh, no. Prusmak is owner. I work for owner.
In other words, you're a grocery clerk. Now, Gedrades, you understand that this is a most grave and serious trial.
I understand.
That we want only the truth. You understand that?
I understand.
So, Gedrades, I ask you if you know any of the principals in this trial personally.
Principal?
The main people concerned. For instance, the defendant, that woman over there. Have you ever seen her before?
No, sir. But the other lady...
We'll come to her in just a moment. And to be certain you have no personal axe to grind, do you have any relatives or close friends working for the state? In my office, for instance?
No kindred. Just my wife and my daughter.
Your daughter? Does she work?
Oh, no. No, my daughter cannot work. She is barely more than a child, and she is ill.
Oh.
She is lame.
So you don't know any of these people? You have no personal interest in the outcome?
No interest.
Good. Now, Mr. Gedrades, now, is there anyone in this courtroom whom you have seen before?
Yes, sir. That lady over there.
Yeah. This lady? The one I'm standing beside?
Yes, sir.
Stand up, Mr. Carlo. Are you certain, Mr. Cadredes? Certain you've seen this lady?
Yes, sir.
Sit down, Mr. Carlo. The lady's name is Miss Catherine DeCarlo. Now tell us where you saw her, Mr. Cadredes.
It was the night my daughter became ill.
Go on.
My daughter is lame from an accident. She's in pain. Well, at one time, the pain is worse than at other times. When it is bad, very bad, she needs medicine.
Of course.
This night it was bad. Very bad. I woke to hear her crying. She needed medicines, so I phoned Galete, the pharmacy.
Who?
Senor Galete, who has a pharmacy. Senor Galete dispenses the medicines to me. A kind man, Galete. He lets me pay when I can. Sometimes there is little money.
Yes. Now, just tell us what happened.
Well, I went downstairs and called Senor Galete. His telephone is in the downstairs.
At his drugstore?
No. It was late. The Senor Galete is a kind man, and he said he would leave his home and meet me.
Oh.
I walked to the store and waited for him.
Waited?
I live closer to the pharmacy than does Senor Galete. I waited.
Tell us, Mr. Cadredes, did you notice the time?
I did. My daughter was crying, Mr. Abt. She needed medicines.
You have a watch?
No watch by me. But there was a big clock in the window. I watched the time.
And as you waited, what happened?
A lady spoke to me. That lady.
Mr. Carlo?
It was she.
Now, wait, Mr. Cadredes. It was late at night. Your daughter was in pain, needing medicines. Why did you happen to notice Mr. Carlo?
At first, I did not.
But?
The lady stopped. She was very kind.
She spoke to you?
The lady asked if I needed help. The kind lady.
Yeah. You saw her plainly?
There was light. Senor Galete keeps his windows lighted through the night. I recognized her.
Recognized her? But you said you didn't know her.
Oh, not to speak to, not in person, but at the cinema. The pictures moving.
Oh, you've seen her in the movies.
My daughter's confined at home. When there is extra money, I wheel her to the cinema. It is a moving chair.
Yes, a wheelchair.
Yes.
So you recognized Mr. Carlo?
I did.
And she spoke to you?
For a moment. Yes, sir.
And you're sure of the time? You were watching the time?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Cadredes, a man known as Marcel Blanc was shot and killed in the early morning of October 29th last year. On what day did you see Mr. Carlo?
On the early morning of October 29th.
Mr. Cadredes, Marcel Blanc was shot at 5 minutes before 3 a.m. on October 29th. At what time did you see Mr. Carlo?
Just before 3 o'clock. Perhaps 5, perhaps 3 minutes before.
What is the address of Galete's pharmacy?
The corner of Hill and Patterson Streets.
The corner of Hill and Patterson. Ladies and gentlemen, that corner of Hill and Patterson Streets is 4 miles. 4 miles away from the apartment where Marcel Blanc was killed. Now, you've heard this man, this simple, good man, whose only concern is his job and his crippled daughter, this man who wants only to do his duty. You've heard this good man positively, beyond the shadow of any doubt, place Kitty DeCarlo 4 miles away at the time of her husband's murder. And so who does that leave, ladies and gentlemen? Who does that leave, now that Mr. Cadredes has given the lie to Mr. Mason's slanderous, desperate accusation of Mr. Carlo? You know who it leaves, ladies and gentlemen. It leaves May Grant. May Grant and May Grant alone, who could have and who did murder Marcel Blanc. Your witness, Mr. Mason.
Well, Perry Mason knows that Valeria Gedrades is lying. And Perry Mason also knows that May Grant faces disaster unless he can break Gedraides. But how? How to do that? Won't you join us tomorrow?
Bailiff, have the overhead lights turned on. It's getting dark.
Yes, Your Honor.
Judge Selby's court is hushed, expectant, filled with tension generated by testimony just given by the man in the witness chair, Valeria Gedraides. It's crystal clear to everyone in the courtroom that the slow, awkward voice of the witness Gedraides was the voice of May Grant's doom, the voice of Perry Mason's defeat, unless Perry Mason can prove he lied. Now, at the defense table, Perry Mason feels the pressure of the waiting tension upon him.
The witness is waiting, Mr. Mason.
In a moment, Your Honor, as soon as I get my notes together.
Well, Della,
It'll be a tough nut to crack, Chief.
you can say that again. Plenty tough. Well, let's give it a try.
I'm ready now, Your Honor.
Order in court. All right, Mr. Mason.
Thank you. Mr. Gedraides.
Yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Mason.
Now, let us understand each other from the beginning. Don't be frightened. There's nothing to be frightened about, Gedraides. There's no reason for fear. None at all. Not yet.
Your Honor.
Yes, Mr. Epp?
I know what the defense is up to. I know his methods.
Just what is your objection, Mr. Epp?
I remind the court that Mr. Gedraides is foreign born, that he isn't too familiar with our language and therefore prone to understandable errors in syntax and construction.
I'm here to see that his interests are protected, Mr. Epp.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Go ahead, Mr. Mason.
Mr. Gedraides, you have told us you saw Mr. Carlo 4 miles from the place where her husband was killed.
Yes.
At 3 in the morning, at just about the time he was killed.
Yes.
You were certain of the time and the place and the date because you had a particular reason to remember.
My daughter was sick.
And you went to the drugstore for medicine.
Yes.
You called the druggist to meet you.
Senor Galeta.
You had done this before?
Yes.
Called him late at night in an emergency?
Yes.
You called Senor Galeta from your apartment?
From the downstairs where the telephone is.
What is his phone number?
Senor Galeta, Quaker 7630.
At what time?
At about 15 minutes before 3.
You then walked to the pharmacy?
Yes.
How far?
About 2 blocks.
On which side of the street did you walk?
The south side.
What is the address of the pharmacy?
Corner of Hill and Patterson Street.
Which corner?
The corner east-north.
Northeast?
Yes.
You had to cross to it?
Yes.
What time was this?
Then, about 5 minutes before 3.
Which way did you cross the intersection? Across 2 streets or?
No. How do you say sideways?
Diagonally? Catacornered?
Yes. Diagonally.
You waited at the pharmacy?
Yes.
Watching the clock in the window?
Yes.
From which direction did Miss DiCarlo approach you? From which direction did she approach you?
Let me think. From the east.
Are you sure of that?
Yes, I
How was she dressed?
Dressed?
What did she say to you?
I do not remember. She merely spoke.
What time was this?
She said, almost 3 o'clock.
And how was she dressed?
A coat.
You say she approached you from the west?
She was wearing a coat. I believe a dark coat. From the... Yes, I believe.
Objection, Your Honor. The witness has told a clear-cut, straightforward story.
Up to a point.
If necessary, I'll have Senor Galeta to verify.
I don't doubt Gedraides went to the pharmacy at the time he claims he did, and you can withdraw your objection, Mr. Rapp. I found out what I wanted to know. I found out why Mr. Gedraides is confused.
Confused? His words are clear and plain.
Oh, we understand what he said. But I don't believe he understands.
Sit down, Mr. Apt. Well, Mr. Mason?
I say this man does not understand.
I do not understand?
I don't think you could and still do what you're doing. Have you ever been to prison, Mr. Gedraides?
No, I have not.
Ever been arrested?
No, I have not.
Nor sued for civil or criminal damages?
Never.
I suppose you're not in debt.
Debt? At times there is a delay, but yes, Gedredes pays his due.
You are a member of a church, Mr. Gedredes?
The church? Yes, oh yes.
And your wife and daughter, you love them?
Yes, above all else, I love them.
Therefore, the man Gedredes is a good man?
Good? I may be, Mr. Mason.
I believe it. That's why I don't believe you could say what you've said if you had full understanding. A good man doesn't lie, as you know.
Yes, I know.
And it is not a question of language. You understand the words. You understand Polish.
A little.
And Dutch. And German. Much German.
Yes. And Czech. Much Czech.
And English. And in all those languages, in Polish, Czech, German, Dutch, here in our English, in any language, a liar is an evil man. Gedredes?
Yes. An evil man.
But there are degrees of evil.
Degrees? Oh, yes.
You know many words for debt, Mr. Gedredes?
Yes. Yes. Many words.
And a lie in any language, causing death in any language, is the most evil of lies.
Yes, that is clear, very clear.
Your testimony could cause the death of an innocent woman. That woman sitting right in front of you. No, raise your eyes and look at her, Mr. Gedredes.
I see her. Without looking, I see her.
Mr. Gedredes, just as there are degrees and kinds of evil, there are degrees and kinds of punishment. Mr. Gedredes?
Yes, I understand.
Some liars are punished by human justice. But there is other punishment. Your Honor.
Yes, Mr. Mason.
The prosecutor made a point of Mr. Gedredes' foreign birth and possible misunderstanding of the language, so that there can be no possible doubt. Will you please have the oath administered once again?
Oh, but, Your Honor, Mr. Gedredes has already taken the oath.
Mr. Apt raised the question, Your Honor, and in so grave a matter.
It can't do any harm. Very well. Bailiff, give me the Bible. Mr. Gedredes.
Yes, Excellency.
Stand up in the witness box.
Yes, Excellency.
And place your right hand on the Bible, Mr. Gedredes. Mr. Gedredes, didn't you hear? Yeah, that's right. Put your hand on the Bible. And now repeat after me. I swear to tell the truth.
I swear to tell the truth.
The whole truth and nothing but the truth.
The whole truth and nothing but the truth.
Holding no mental reservations or conditions.
Holding no mental reservations.
Or conditions.
Or conditions.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Remove your hand. You may sit down. All right, Mr. Mason.
Thank you, Your Honor. Now, Mr. Gedredes, you have sworn on solemn oath to tell the truth, so help you God. You've also said that Gedredes pays his due. You know what punishment you must pay if you do not tell the truth, and God abandons you. Well, Mr. Gedredes?
There is a hell on earth, Mr. Mason.
What? We can't hear you.
I know what will happen.
Then I ask you, in truth, did you see Mr. Carlo, as you have just testified, as you believe in God, as you have hope for your soul? In truth, Mr. Gedredes?
Yes. I did see Mr. Carlo, as I said. In truth, I saw her.
Valeria Gedredes has dared the wrath of the God he fears to shield his family from the terrible hand of Anna B. Hurley. And in so doing, it appears Gedredes has doomed May Grant unless... But by all means, join us tomorrow. It's late afternoon, several hours after the close of our last episode. And in the gathering darkness, outside an old apartment building where the Gedrades family lives.
There he is.
Where?
In the doorway.
Hi, Perry. Beautiful.
Hello, Paul.
Well, clear ahead. Gedrades is home and alone.
Alone?
His daughter's there, too, but she's sick. Mrs. Gedrades won't be back for a while.
Where did she go?
New baby coming at the neighbors.
Oh, and Mrs. Gedrades?
Uh-huh. Beats me. Somebody gets sick, they call Mrs. Gedrades. Somebody gets in trouble, they talk to the old man. You got my reports?
No, not just yours. We've been up to here in reports and notes and transcripts of testimony.
You find anything, Perry?
No, just what we've always known. If Gedrades' testimony isn't broken, May Grant will probably be convicted.
I was hoping by now I'd have something you could use as a lever.
Well, I can't wait any longer.
Oh, we've given it a try, Perry. We'll keep trying, but so far all we get is the information Gedrades is a good man.
Yes, that's why I'm here.
Because maybe he is a good man, Chief? In spite of
what... maybe an appeal to his conscience will work. Well, something's got him. I'll be here when you come.
Oh, wait a minute, Paul. Did you get what I asked you to?
Yeah, but I don't know why you want a 25 caliber automatic.
Let's hope you don't have to find out. All right, Della, let's go.
This is 5A, Perry.
Mm-hmm. I'll knock.
Oh, the door's open.
Mm-hmm. And no light on inside.
Well, Paul just said he was here.
Yeah. Well.
See anybody?
Look, through the door to the kitchen there in front of the kitchen window.
Huh? Oh, yes, Mr. Gedrades. He's just sitting there at the table.
Come on.
He doesn't hear us.
Wait. Mr. Gedrades.
Who?
Hello, Mr. Gedrades.
Oh.
You remember us?
Yes. I ask your pardon for not rising, Miss Street.
That's all right.
I am tired. Very tired. But please sit down.
Thank you.
You're not surprised to see us?
No. The door was open.
Then you expected us.
And I thought perhaps.
You know why I'm here?
I know.
Today you may have taken a life, Mr. Gedrades. You can give it back tomorrow.
I am God, Mr. Mason, to give life.
You played God today when you took May Grant's life. That's why I'm here, as you know. You expected me.
Yes.
I won't say what you want me to say, Mr. Gedrades.
Huh?
We're not going to argue.
There is no reason to argue. You know what you did. The lies you told mean May Grant's conviction and death. Death for an innocent woman.
No.
So, actually, from a moral point of view, you committed murder.
No.
There's no other way to look at it. There's no other way your God will look at it. No, I'm not going to argue with you. You know all the arguments as well as I do.
We think you've been going over these arguments, Mr. Gedrades.
Yes. Over and over and over. Because you know what's on your conscience. The life of an innocent woman who never harmed you or yours. That's why I came to see you. Not only to ask for May Grant's life, but to give you warning.
Warning?
I don't know what secret pressure made you lie as you did.
Nothing. No pressure.
Don't tell me that. We're not in court now. There is no judge, no jury, no one to listen, no one to impress. Just us. And now I'm telling you what I know. I know there was pressure on you.
You had a reason for lying.
No.
You lied, and you know it. And we know it. You're hiding the reason for your lie, and I know that also. Mr. Gedrades, I will find that reason. Whatever it is, I will find it. It will take time, but I have got time. I'll take it. May Grant doesn't have time. Tomorrow is coming too fast for that innocent young woman, Mr. Gedrades. So listen well. I'm going after you. I'll find what you've got hidden, and when I do, you won't have gained a thing.
You'd better face it now, Mr. Gedrades, because sooner or later...
No. Sooner or later you will have to. But later will be infinitely worse. Because May Grant will be dead. Beyond help.
Mr. Mason.
Yes?
You believe I lied.
I know it.
But I'm a good man. Mr. Mason, to lie. Such a terrible lie.
Oh, there must have been a reason, Mr. Gedrades. We understand that. A very compelling reason.
I'm offering not only a warning and a threat, but help, Mr. Gedrades. You need help. I'm here to give it.
Mr. Mason, for a good man to lie, such an evil lie.
There would have to be a reason. A big one.
If there was such a reason, it would have to be such that it would have to be so that there could be no help.
How do you know there could be no help? Unless you tell me.
I have nothing to tell. I was just trying to show you.
Mr. Gedrades. Do you believe that I will track down and expose the hidden motive for what you did?
I had no such motive.
All right. Then let us say if you had. Don't you think that I can find it in time?
You would try. I believe you would try. Perhaps even find it out.
Then why squander May Grant's life to gain nothing? Della, suppose you wait out in the hall. Mr. Gedrades will talk more freely without a witness.
Yes, of course.
It will do no good. I assure you it will do no good.
You go anyway, Della.
All right,
Chief. Oh, my daughter, she's awake. Oh, pardon. I must see her. Pardon, please. Adele.
Oh, Perry, I think he was about to talk.
Maybe.
But you're supposed to rest.
Oh, Papa, I'm well enough to meet them. The pain is almost done.
But...
Please.
Oh, all right. Mr. Mason.
Yes?
Would you step into my daughter's room? My daughter would like to meet you.
Yes, of course. Come on, Della.
This is Mr. Mason, Adele, and Miss Street. Mr. Mason is a lawyer, and Miss Street is his secretary.
Hello, Adele.
Hello.
Mr. Mason. Miss Street.
As you see, my daughter is ill.
Oh, not really ill, Papa. Not very. I mean, I'm lame. I did something I'd been told not to do and hurt myself. As Papa says, I punished myself.
Daughter, please.
I tried to walk again. I heard if you have enough faith, you can do anything, even walk when you are lame.
Darling, please.
When I tried, I fell down. But there will be other days.
Yes, there'll be other days. Better days. Days when you will walk.
That's what I said, Papa.
Days when my daughter is tired. You'd best go.
We haven't talked, Papa.
There's no reason for you to talk. Mr. Mason, Miss Street.
But, Papa...
As for you, you close your eyes and rest.
You afraid to talk about anything, Mr. Gedrades? Even with that girl in there, your daughter? She can't trap you.
I didn't want her disturbed.
She is not the one who is disturbed. She is not the one who is punishing herself. Last chance, Mr. Gedrades, and then I'm through talking. You will have forced me into action. I'm sorry because I know that you're carrying a heavy load, but you leave me no alternative. You stand by what you've done, and you shall have to take the consequences. Well? Come on, Della.
All right, Chief.
Oh, Mr. Gedrades, tell your daughter we were pleased to meet her. Tell her she's a nice girl. And you might tell her those who fall when they're asked not to walk aren't the only ones who receive punishment.
Well, there's no doubt about it. Gedrades' refusal to repair the damage his testimony did to May Grant is forcing Perry Mason to take action. But in just what direction that action will take, well, won't you join us tomorrow? It's about 2 minutes after the close of our last episode. as in front of the old apartment building where Perry Mason has just talked with Valeria Gedraites.
Paul. Hey, take it easy. I might be spotted.
Doesn't make any difference now. Where's your car?
Across the street.
Let's go.
Look out for the traffic, Perry. Golly.
Let them look out.
Hey, what happened up there?
I'll explain in the car. Come on, get in.
Listen, I got boys reporting back.
Let them report later.
All right. Where to?
You remember where May Grant was held prisoner?
Yes.
All right, then. Get there. Fast. You got that .25 caliber automatic with you?
Yeah, in my pocket.
Good. Della, hand me the telephone.
Wait till I get around the corner, Perry. Okay. How fast shall I go?
You're driving.
All right.
Here's the phone, Perry.
Thank you.
Paul!
Don't bother the man, Della. He's busy.
Yeah.
Hello?
Bill, Perry Mason.
Oh, yes, Mr. Mason.
Bill, I'm calling from a moving car.
You can say that again.
From a moving... Oh, all right.
I can't hear you very well. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear.
Good. Now, Bill, can you leave Dory?
Leave?
Hmm.
Well, yes, I suppose I could. The housekeeper's here. Yes.
All right. You remember where May was held prisoner?
Yeah, I remember.
Can you meet me there?
Yes.
All right. Be there as fast as you can and come inside the apartment. We'll be waiting.
All right.
Oh, and Bill, bring your checkbook.
What?
Your checkbook.
Sure, all right.
That's all. But hurry. I'll be there before you can get there. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Here, Della. Put this back on the hook. All right, you can speed up now, Paul. I finished talking. Huh? This is it.
Nobody around.
Locked. Well, I'll go downstairs and see if I can talk to Super and let us have a pass key.
No.
What?
We don't talk to anyone.
Uh-oh. I know what that means.
I've got a pocket flashlight, Paul.
No, I don't need it. I think I got a gimmick here that'll work. Yeah. It'll fit, but don't know if it'll turn.
Well?
No. Have to force it.
Well, then don't stand there talking about it.
Anybody coming?
No.
Oh. Here goes. Well, not a neat job.
But effective. Let's go in.
Want the lights on?
No, not till the blinds are closed.
I'll get those. Okay, the lights now.
All right. Well, here we are.
Well, I see they've cleaned the place up.
Yeah. New rug on the floor.
Yes, but look, they forgot to fill in the plaster over this bullet hole.
When you two get through admiring the scenery.
Oh, okay.
Della, see if you can find a wash pail in the kitchen pantry.
Okay, fill it with water?
No. I'm going to stuff a sofa pillow into it.
Right, Terry.
Let me see that gun, Paul.
Right. Here.
Is it loaded?
Well, the clip's loaded. Got a Jack 1 bullet in the chamber before it'll fire.
Mm-hmm. Now,
I found this galvanized iron bucket.
that's perfect. Just put it down, Della. Now, I think this pillow will do.
Fellow's going to look awful silly when...
You won't see it. Okay, Paul. Outside.
Right.
I'll start firing just 1 minute after you walk out of that door.
Right. Starting now.
I'll fire at 1 second intervals, just as we planned.
I beat it back in here as soon as you and Della get through killing that fellow?
That's it.
Oh, here's Mr. Grant, Harry.
Good. Send him in. Oh, 1 minute. In just 1 minute from now, Paul.
I'll be listening. I came as quickly as I could, Mr. Mason.
Well, that's a gun.
Yes.
You keeping time, Della?
Yes, 50 seconds.
You're a little early, Bill, so You can watch this experiment.
What?
45 seconds.
You heard Lieutenant Tragg's testimony?
Sure, yes.
The murder was reported by a woman who claimed she heard the shots from outside.
35 seconds.
I don't think that she did. Now, this gun is the same model as the one Blanc was killed with.
And Mr. Drake is out front.
No, not out front. Just out in the corridor. And Mr. Drake has excellent hearing.
20 seconds.
If Paul doesn't hear, that proves that she didn't hear.
And if she didn't?
As far as I'm concerned, then that's proof that...
10 seconds, Perry.
Now, you better stand aside, Bill. There.
5 seconds, Perry. 4, 3, 2, 1, go!
Now we'll know.
No. No what?
Bill, I talked to Gedrades tonight. You notice I say I talked.
Yes, I think he would have if we'd given him long enough, but...
I don't think so. I think he wanted to come clean, but he didn't dare.
Didn't dare? Oh, you mean a threat?
Some kind of a threat. Probably a threat to his family.
Well, if you know that much...
Bill, Valeria Gedrades was chosen. Carefully chosen. Oh, Paul?
Well, didn't you fire? Oh, don't have to answer. I can see the pellet.
So you don't have to answer our question. You didn't hear the shots.
No, it was quiet in the corridor.
There, you have it.
Look, you're all leaving me far behind.
Oh, you'll get used to it.
Gedrades was chosen?
Chosen. By the woman who telephoned in a report of the murder.
Oh.
That same woman telephoned you and first told you Dory was not your child.
Oh, I see. I was beginning to think there wasn't any such...
Well, this proves it. Proves there's a woman in the background. A woman who reported a shot she could not have heard.
Unless she'd been in here.
We thought we had a hot lead on her once.
Yes, the superintendent of Mr. Carlo's apartment building.
We had to rule her out.
I am not ruling anybody out. And that includes Anna Hurley.
Yeah, but Perry... Mr. Mason, if you suspect no particular person...
Then I have to suspect everyone. The fact remains that somebody, and I think it is a woman, has masterminded everything that's happened to me.
Somebody hidden and evil. Somebody moving people around like puppets.
For instance, Gedrades. That. It all comes back to that someone.
We've been working a month without a trace.
You've got an idea, Mr. Mason?
I have. But I need your help.
Of course, I'll do anything I can possibly do.
Wait. Let me tell you. I'm going to take a chance. I can't explain what I'm going to do to you or Paul or anybody because... Well, never mind.
Because if it goes wrong, you'll have full responsibility.
Skip it. Bill, here is as much as I want you to know. I'm going to take a chance not only with myself, but with May. Now, you will have to stand by in ignorance, see things happen that you won't understand. You'll have to stand by ready to help if I ask you to help, and without a question.
Oh, but this chance, it's a real chance to save my wife?
The only chance I see right now to save her, in time.
Oh, all right, Mr. Mason.
That's a big thing. Once I start it, I have to play it out.
I said all right.
I'm asking complete trust and faith without quibble or question.
All right, I know. I'll do whatever you say. Nothing or anything.
Good. You can start by doing something.
What?
You brought your checkbook?
Check? Well, yes.
You got $1,000 in the bank?
Oh, yes, in our special joint account.
All right, sit down at that desk and I got a check payable to Perry Mason for $1,000.
You understand May will have to countersign it. It's a joint account.
That's better. And she'll sign it. Oh, leave the date blank.
All right. Who shall I make it payable to?
I told you. Me.
What?
Me. Well?
Let me borrow your pen, Mr. Mason.
Well, Perry Mason is going into action. And don't you wonder what he can be planning that's so risky he won't even tell his own associates what he's about. Then you'll surely want to join us for Monday's important and exciting episode. It's early Monday morning, not yet 7 o'clock, as Perry Mason sleepily stretches his arm out to answer the phone beside his bed.
Hello?
This is Paul, Perry.
Oh, speak louder, will you? I can't hear you.
This is Paul, Perry.
Paul? Well?
Now the lawyer is instantly awake as he hears the voice of Private Operative Paul Drake. And as Drake finishes his report.
So, it all goes back to Minnesota with a detour. You're sure about this now, Paul?
Positive.
Okay, I'll play it using your information. You know, I can get myself in a jam if you're wrong. But I'll go right ahead. So you might as well hang up, Paul. I have plenty to do. And don't ask me what, because I'm not going to tell you. All right, come on. Della, this is Perry.
Perry?
Yes, hang on to your hat.
Hat, I'm in bed.
Well, then hang on to your pin curlers. Now, look, the deal is on.
Oh?
Paul just got confirmation. Are you awake?
Yes, I'm wide awake. Oh, Perry.
Well, look, I have things to do, finishing touches. So, can you understand what I'm saying perfectly?
Perfectly.
Have May brought into court 15 minutes early.
Yeah?
Telephone Bill, tell him to stay out of court this morning. He'd be in the way when things start popping.
You want to see him afterwards?
Yes, of course I do. Tell him to meet us in Judge Kelly's chambers. Kelly is out of town. Now, you can tell Bill where that is now. You got everything straight?
Yes.
Good. I'll see you in court. 15 minutes early.
Yes, Monday is a busy morning. And not only for Perry Mason. Prosecutor Apt has been busy, too. You see, this is Mr. Apt's big day. The day he plans to hand Mason a smashing defeat, clinch his case against May Grant, and earn fame, glory, and distinction for himself. And so Mr. Apt took special care with his appearance this morning. He shaved a little more closely, combed his hair just a bit more smoothly. Now, at exactly 15 minutes before court is scheduled to convene, Mr. Apt strides confidently towards the courtroom. But as Mr. Apt reaches the courtroom, as he smiles in his democratic way at the attendant and goes inside...
Good morning, Joseph.
Mr. Apt gets something of a surprise. Mr. Apt is surprised to see Perry Mason and Mason's secretary and the defendant in what is apparently a most serious and important consultation. Now, as Mr. Apt edges up to the defense table...
But, Mr. Mason, I don't...
May.
Oh, well, this looks like an important early morning conference.
Oh, Mr. Apt. Good morning. Yes, it's most important.
Oh, really?
Mrs. Grant has just made a revelation to me that... Frankly, I am astounded.
Well, what...
It's a new development.
Quiet, Della, please. Oh. This, after all, is the opposition.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Mason. I almost spilled the beans, didn't I?
Yes.
Something does seem to have happened.
Yes, well, I can tell you it'll change the whole complexion of it. Excuse me, Mr. Apt. I have...
Oh, don't hurry away.
What? Why?
Would you step over here a minute? Just for a minute.
Well, make it brief. I tell you, this thing has really upset me. Well?
Mason, this wouldn't be the first move of a change of strategy.
It's
a little late to change your plea.
Oh.
Everyone, Judge Selby and the jury, can read the handwriting on the wall.
Oh, yes, the handwriting.
The conviction is in my pocket. Everyone knows it.
See?
Including you.
So don't rob you of your glory by throwing Mrs. Grant on the mercy of the court. Is that what you want to say?
Not at all. I'm warning you. That woman won't escape one iota of her just punishment. Your motive for changing her plea at the last desperate moment would be only too plain.
And if not, you'd make it plain that I was bidding for sympathy.
It would be my duty.
Well, you can stop worrying about that.
Hmm?
Why should I plead her guilty? She isn't.
Oh. So you're going to keep on fighting?
Of course. And with this new development...
Yes, the new development. Well, you keep fighting, Mr. Mason. Yes, sir, I hope you do. Good morning.
What did you say to him, Perry? He looked happy.
Mr. Apt was afraid I was going to change May's plea.
Oh, well, then he's not worried about the new development.
Oh, he's so confident.
Excuse me, Mr. Mason, but what are you and Della talking about? What have I told you?
You haven't told us anything yet. But you will, before long.
I don't understand.
And you don't have to. By the way, something for you to do. Here, this check. Here's a check for you to sign.
On our joint account. Bill's already signed it.
Yes.
For $1,000.
All you do is countersign it, May.
But...
Here's my pen.
All right, Mr. Mason.
Oh, and date it, also.
Oh, what is the date?
Dated a month ago.
What? Yes, make it the 17th of February.
All right, if you say so. February 17th.
Good. Now, while I blot this...
Can you tell me the news now, Mr. Mason?
No, you were going to tell me in a moment. But there's something else. Have you that little photograph of Dory with you?
Why, yes, in my purse. I always carry it.
Would you get it out, please?
It's right here.
What's the matter?
It's underneath my sewing. I'm finishing some baby doll clothes for Dory, and here it is.
No, don't hand it to me. Can you take it out of the frame?
Well, I guess I can.
All right, take it out of the frame. Bella, he starts over here.
Here you are, Mr. Mason.
Now keep it down. Don't let anyone see what you're doing.
Oh? But why?
You will understand in a little while. Now, that photo. Are you ready?
Yes, if you want me to. I don't know what this is all about, but I've still got your pen.
No, don't use mine. Use yours for this.
All right, Mr. Mason.
Bella, is Amp watching us?
No, not now. He's talking to a reporter.
Good. Now, right on the back of Dory's picture, this single sentence. This seems like the only way out. And sign it in full.
This seems like the only way out. Well, that sounds like a farewell note.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh.
It's all right if your hands...
Finish it.
All right. The only way out. Mrs. William Grant. Dorothy May Grant.
Here's an envelope now, May. You put it in and seal it up.
All right, now give it to me.
You're taking my picture.
Yes.
But...
For a very good reason.
Does Bill know what's going on, Mr. Mason?
No, May.
I wish I could see Bill.
Well, perhaps you will after...
After what?
First the picture, please.
Oh, here. Now, can you tell me?
Yes. May, do you know where we stand?
Yes. Mr. Apt is so certain of convicting you, May, that he doesn't want Perry to cop a plea.
That's vernacular for changing your plea to guilty and hoping for mercy. But by the time Apt gets through leading Kitty through her testimony...
I won't get any mercy. But what's all that got to do with...
Things have been happening, May.
Perry has been making them happen.
What things?
You see, I expected to prove you innocent in court.
Yes, until Kitty's alibi stood up.
Mr. Gedrady.
Yes. Now, of course, in time, I will prove Gedраdy's a liar. In time, I'll expose the real murderer of Marcel Blanc. But I need time.
So we have to go the long way round. Oh, what? We thought we could find out who framed you after we proved you were innocent. Oh.
But the frame is too good. We can't break it here in court. So, as we said, things have been happening.
And you can find out who framed me?
In time.
But if it'll take time...
It will.
Oh, Mr. Mason, there isn't much time. So
we're going to stop the trial.
Well, how? You asked Judge Selby for a recess and he refused.
Since the court won't give Perry time to complete his defense.
We'll have to take it.
What? Through the new development?
Mm-hmm.
What is this new development?
Well, you are to tell me, remember?
Oh, what am I to tell you?
About your baby, May.
Baby? You mean Dory?
Oh, no. The baby you're going to have.
I'm going to have a baby?
Well, now she's told us, hasn't she?
Yes, Chief.
What are you talking about? Mr. Mason!
That's what you just told me, that you're going to have a baby. Congratulations, May. You make me very happy.
What in the world is Perry Mason talking about? One thing you can be sure. It's quite likely that Mr. Frederick App's smoothly combed hair would stand straight up if he had any idea of what's just been said at the defense table. Yes, as you can guess, Mr. Apt is in for a rude shock. So by all means, join us tomorrow, won't you?